Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Nasscom Product Showcase Series, Rewrite the Workbook in New Normal. On behalf of Nasscom, first I would like to welcome you all and thank you for taking out time to attend this session. I am Sahil Pasrija, part of Northern Membership Team at Nasscom. In today's session, speakers from different organizations will share insights on various product solutions that have assisted them or their stakeholders during the tough times. And we are happy to present the same with you all as it could assist in rewriting the book in new normal. The speaker will prompt for Q&A at the end of their respective sessions, and you may put in questions in the question panel of GoToWebinar console. We'll try to cover as many questions as possible. Now we have our first speaker for today is Mr. Sachin Bhatia, founder Ameo. He'll be covering on remote contact center solution with omni-channel capabilities. Over to you, Sachin.
Hey, thanks, Sahil, and a very good morning to everyone. I wish and hope that everybody and their families and loved ones are keeping safe. I hail from a company called Ameo, and we are a provider of contact center technology and more recently, onboarding solution with video KYC. And as you can all imagine, that contact centers, when COVID struck, this was one function which was a very hard function to move to work from home. And I'm going to share some of the learnings there. And then there is an insight that we have got from the market on is this temporary or this is permanent? And we've been researching about it, that whether organizations would continue to operate from work from home or would go back to the old normal, or is there a new normal? And what are the advantages, disadvantages of that? So, and then of course, briefly about how we have been bringing out new solutions to cater to the new normal. Very brief introduction. I'm one of the founders. I currently head global sales and marketing. An engineer at heart, love products, and have traveled to about 50 countries for Ameo. So let me quickly share the agenda. The first part, we want to discuss what were the reactions from the contact center. And Nasscom has a lot of IT-enabled services as their members, and I'm assuming a lot of you are already there. And there was this immediate reaction when government announced, and in some cases even before that, like Ameo moved to work from home a week before the Prime Minister announced the Janta curfew. The second part, we're going to cover that in this, they call it a socially distant world. I would call it a physically distant world. What's the changing role of the contact center? Is there a disruption happening in the business model? And we believe that this is going to be a huge opportunity for people who can change how contact centers are running. And then a bit about our solutions for the remote workforce. So the first reaction, everybody, of course, wanted the contact centers to keep operating because there was no physical contact possible. So contact center was sort of the what I would call the last line of engagement, a human-to-human engagement that existed between business to consumers. And the initial reactions we saw was in the SMB, a lot of contact centers shut down. There was a TRAI regulation, which I think the government and the regulator responded very fast in opening up. Now you could run contact centers on a VPN kind of setup and route calls to home. There was serious operational efficiency issues around how do you monitor this, because contact center is such a closely knit unit that if I'm a team leader, I would buddy up with my agent and sort of take him for a one-on-one if a feedback is required. How do you run all this completely remote? And then there were these obvious actionables of setting up VPN access, giving agents laptops, and in some cases high bandwidth VPN routers, and have that BCP plan running that contact center can now operate. And I think we have crossed that stage. Most contact centers in most verticals are operational today. A little bit sometimes under efficiency, sometimes a little bit of tweaking on the solution, but it's working, right? There was another reaction from enterprises, which is that, hey, this is our opportunity to digitize And why don't we enable our customers to do self-service? Why don't we implement bots? And I think all those suggestions are good. But if you look at a little bit of psychology, the need for a human-to-human interaction is actually more than ever, because the physical interaction, whether it's branch, whether it's field visits, is almost zero. So in the contact center also, if it's the bot which comes in the front, that actual human to human engagement completely goes off. So we believe that especially in the three use cases of sales, onboarding, or service and collections, contact center is going to get the center stage, right? So some of these functions were support functions when they were running through the contact center, but you would actually see sales being driven, customers being onboarded, service being completely dissipated, and collections being completely owned by the contact center more than ever, which is a huge opportunity of this function, to have that cost center to profit center kind of movement. And customers are looking for real engagements today. What is the disruption that we are talking about? Whether this is short term, let's say tomorrow the government announces, and we all see that the COVID cases have gone down. Would it change? Infrastructure is about 25% of agent salary in a contact center, which is, if you look at from a bottom line perspective, a 12.5 to 15% bottom line impact. This is huge. Folks who can transition this to a hybrid model, or mostly remote model, would have a 10% to 15% bottom line advantage, which in this business could be the unique differentiator that a business needs in their strategy. What is it that we do for contact centers across all channels, whether it's email, voice, chat, social, and more recently WhatsApp, Instagram, and video? If your customers are engaging with humans on the other side, and maybe a bot in the middle, to sort of basic inquiry and then routing, Ameo gives you a 360-degree view of the customer across these channels and helps you route these channels, route these interactions on different channels to the best possible agent. We also have a proactive outbound solution which does which augments the sales use case. There are three things that we have observed as unique challenges for remote contact centers. The first is, what if the agent is saying I'm not able to log in? In case of an office, the IT guy is able to manage that through network monitoring and a physical touch. But how does that happen in a remote contact center? How do you monitor at scale the operations that you were running in on-prem, right? How do you bring that collaboration into it? And then in some cases, we have seen that field use cases are being used to move to contact center. There are no laptops. There is augmentation on network required. What if they don't have broadband? Can you run everything on a mobile? So we saw these three unique challenges. Over what we were doing, we serve over 2,000 customers today in the contact center space, and we have come out with some of the solutions to these problems. The first is, today we monitor about 15 infrastructure parameters, including device, network, application, CPU on a mobile, to the application availability, right? So how do you make sure that there is trust in the network? The second is having multiple levels of dashboards, whether it's operational, which is average handling time, drop-offs, to business KPIs, sales conversion, lead conversion. How do you make them accessible across the team so that collaboration can happen faster? And then we launched an Android-based app on which you could actually run a complete contact center capability from an agent's view. So on the left screenshot, you see Salesforce application integrated with a floating CTI widget. The agent could actually take calls on WebRTC or on mobile network and still have those automated data collection as well as customer pop-up happening on the mobile. There is a video of that, but I might actually run out of time. We want to make sure everybody gets about 10 minutes. So let me just move forward. Till about last week, we moved 100 plus businesses to work from home on the contact center side with 50,000 plus agents. Some of the names are mentioned here. Large ones you might recognize. Byju's, which is using it for lead to appointment conversion. Akash, which is using it for onboarding of new customers. GT Bank, which is using it for all three use cases in Nigeria. So across the world, we have seen the work from home movement happening. and then a little bit about Ameo. I think I'm well within my 10 minutes. If there are any questions, I'm happy to take them right now. There is a small video also, and we'll post the link on the chat after this, so that all of you can see it. It's on YouTube, which is of the mobile app. It's an industry first. So Sahil, yeah, with that, I would stop. If there are any questions, I can take them right now. Otherwise, we can move to Siddharth, who has a very interesting story to share.
Yeah, Sachin, that video you can also share if you have that. I mean, the audio will not be heard, but then again, you can share it if
No,
you
no,
have
that's
it with
okay.
you.
That's okay, man. I think I'll share it on the chat link with everyone, if that is okay, so that they can all view it on their devices. It's on YouTube, so it will be simpler to view it there instead of taking everybody's time and attention on a broadcasting view. Will that be okay?
Okay. Yeah, perfect. So as of now, there aren't any questions. So thank you so much, Sachin, for sharing the insights on contact center. Now we have Mr. Siddharth, founder and CEO, Quail Infotech. He will cover process automation using AI Wozo. So Siddharth, over to you now.
Yeah, thanks, Sahil. Let me just bring up the screen.
Yeah, just a moment.
Yep. Thank you, Sahil, and thank you, Sachin, for wrapping up on time. And I'll try and ensure that I also close as the scheduled 10 minutes. Now, basically, my name is Siddharth Singh. I am the CEO of Quail Infotech, and Quail Infotech is a new age automation company, and we have a laser focus on automation and artificial intelligence. We try to look at the digitization of companies using technologies which make machine learning more realistic for organizations, right? And today, mostly what we'll be talking about is iWozo, which is our proprietary intelligent process automation tool. We'll be covering that and how it's relevant for the industry in the new normal world that we are seeing post-COVID. Before I start off on iWozo, I thought we'll cover quickly a slide about Quail and give a short overview on what Quail is all about. We started about 3 years back with new age startup company. So we are totally focused on how we will ensure that we operate lean and operate in a manner which is quick to the market and is able to kind of grab a digital space market share, right? So in the past 3 years, we have done some really good work around the number of processes that we have looked at on a digital perspective and looked at the processes on an automation platform. The industry has recognized us, luckily, in this time for the work we have been doing. And the most recent of these was what Analytics Insight talked to us about us as a top 10 most innovative intelligent automation solution providers. So that was a proud moment. And obviously the Business Connect one, which talks about us being as the best companies to work for, was an interesting accolade that we had received. That's in a short about Quail Infotech. Our website address is quailinfotech.com, and there's lots more about the company and what we do, which you can cover there. Now, before we talk about automation, and the word that you will hear a lot in the presentation is something called RPA. The full form of RPA is robotic process automation. So I thought I'll take 10 seconds and talk about what RPA is really before we actually go ahead and jump into a more detailed discussion about iWozo as a tool and what it does for you. Now, robotic process automation, in a nutshell definition perspective, is a software that works on the user interface level and replicates human action. So what it does is it automates what a human is doing on the digital interface on the systems, and completely works at the user interface level, so does one transaction at a time, and is a very non-intrusive kind of technology, does not operate with databases or backend integration, right? You'll learn more about it as we go along, and plus, I mean, I think most of the people are now aware of what robotic process automation is, but let me also talk about what it does. It automates manual and repeatable tasks. It works on rule-based activities, and it enables workflow. But very important to also talk about what RPA is not. It's not a humanoid robot, and it's not something which replaces humans' cognitive ability completely. It does need some amount of human intervention whenever there is a cognitive capability like judgment, decision making, or visual recognition that is involved. This is just a 10-second overview of RPA before we get started on the whole conversation as such. Moving on, what I wanted to talk about is what COVID has done to the world, and this is a crisis we all are aware that we haven't seen in the last 100 years, and none of us were prepared for what it will bring to the table. So what I thought was we'll cover something of a slight overview of how COVID impacted the industry as such, and how RPA can help solve some of these problems, right? So some of the biggest issues that we see are people motivation being at risk due to the COVID crisis, because overall, all of us are now worried about health and safety. We are worried about our own well-being plus our loved ones' well-being. In terms of productivity, we are all worried about how we can maximize productivity. And I know all of us are in a state where we do double shifts, and this is a discussion I keep having. Double shifts meaning one shift we work for our organizations and our tasks, and the second shift is the work that we are doing at home, which may include any contribution in cooking or even doing vessels at home, right? The other big issue was overcoming distractions. A lot of work that we are doing is becoming a challenge, and staying focused on ensuring that we stay on target. Social distancing is causing a lot of isolation and people-based issues. More importantly, let's look at how it's impacting businesses. It's a big issue in terms of the spend, the way companies are looking at spend. New orders, payments are issued, standard processing issues are there. While one positive outcome of this is that all the companies are looking at an accelerated form of digitization, and a lot of companies have moved away from the paper-based work that we're doing, which was a normal in India in terms of looking at everything on a paper-based scenario first, and then looking at how it impacts on the process as such. What wonderful change that COVID has brought in, which is a positive side, is that companies have moved towards a more digitized view of things, and our first step is that the number of paper being used in offices has reduced considerably. There's some challenges on working as remote teams. Collaboration becomes an issue. Tracking tasks and productivity becomes an issue. Working from different locations, time zones, simply being able to communicate and hand over things becomes an issue. And lastly, building and maintaining trust is a big challenge as such. Now, how RPA, which is robotic process automation, adoption helps this scenario. So if you look at the way RPA automates rule-based and mundane tasks, people can move up from doing standard Excel activities. I think everybody could relate to the amount of Excel reporting and collation of data that one is doing on a general day-to-day basis. If these are automated with the help of RPA, people can move to more value-adding work, which improves motivation overall. Productivity maximization is a possibility due to RPA. If you look at bots, we have a type of bots which are called attended bots, which basically assist humans in doing whatever they're doing. So for example, if a human is processing a document and he needs to, in between, while processing the document, in between needs to check for some data online, he need not do it, while the bot itself will pick it up and get the information for him, and he can continue doing his processing activities. RPA helps in tracking tasks and productivities, so to ensure that there's no slippages or things that get missed. I think working from home in the past 2-3 months, this is something which I've seen very common even in my organization, where there were times when some particular transaction just got missed because the way it got communicated was over some web call or a conference call, and somewhere or the other nobody was sure who was supposed to own that task, and it just got dropped. So this is something very common, and if you use simple automations like RPA, it can really help life make easy by ensuring that these tasks don't get missed out. Now, RPA also supports situations where there's large amounts of data that needs processing. So if you're looking at a situation where huge amounts of Excel information that needs to be processed is very difficult for a human to do it. And this has amazing applications in the healthcare sector itself. If you look at diagnosis as a critical factor, a lot of diagnosis is done without the proper support of data, which is linear in time, and is done with the help of, if being done with the help of RPA, can take care of multiple factors which probably would have got missed if only a human was looking at it. So healthcare has a lot of applications around RPA and can help improve what we are seeing in terms of diagnosis, corrections, analysis, coming up with new R&D and things like that. Lastly, because of the new work environment, what has happened is that every management is looking at short and quick deployment and ability to change, which is very, very different to the Indian work environment. I've spent 2 decades in the IT industry in the country, and what we see used to be that if anything new comes in, there used to be a lot of time for us to deploy it, a lot of time to check it and make changes. But what COVID has brought in, that everything needs to be done really quickly and in a quick, short time to help realize the benefits of it, which is, with the help of RPA, one can achieve that, because the deployment time of bots can be as little as 2 weeks, and to solve very, very simple issues, and even complex processes can be automated within a time of 4 to 6 weeks, which really helps in terms of looking at ideas and implementing them fast. Now that we've talked about how COVID is helping RPA, let me give you a quick overview about iWozo as our platform, what it's about, and how we have thought and conceptualized the product as such. So iWozo basically has 3 key components. One is what we call as the iWozo Work Zone, and which is a reporting and monitoring tool. So this is what we call as the brains of the software. This is where it basically controls the entire working of bots, and working of bots as a virtual workforce for you. And it also goes ahead and shows you proper dashboards, and shows you what work has been completed, what process is completed, what is left out. Right? Then we have the Studio. iWozo Studio is basically a configuration tool for creating these automations, or bots as we call them. The fun about the Studio is that it's not really a development tool, but more of a drag and drop tool. If you are used to working on a Microsoft Visio as a platform, or even when we were studying in college, we used to do a lot of process flows. iWozo Studio works in a very similar manner, where you have a set of activities, as we call them, which are pre-coded automations, and you simply drag and drop and put it in the work panel, and you don't really have to know coding or C++. And trust me, makes life very, very easy to do. Right? The Studio also has machine learning capabilities, so we have built in a lot of machine learning activities like sentiment analysis, chatbot, image classification, document extraction, if you are still using documents, that is, to be able to automate things which are way beyond simple mundane activities as well. And finally, the bots. Bots are actually the ones who do the groundwork. These are your soldiers on the ground. They're basically the virtual workforce. They go ahead and do any transaction that you have coded into the play. This is I want to quickly give you a graphical representation of what I just talked about, just to simplify visually what iWozo looks like as in terms of architecture. Like I told you, that the brains or the nerve center of iWozo is the work zone, which is sitting in the center here and controlling the various environments and the various components of the product. This is a little technical slide, so I'm not going to spend a lot of time on this, but just to give you a visual feel of what how it talks to each other. If you look out on the left side, you have the various environments, production, testing, and development environments, and the back end is the various integrations with your existing in-house applications. Right? The architecture is so robust that it really helps you look at automation at a simple level as well as a complex level for large enterprises. So as simple as an individual can do automation sitting at home, simple activities, and trust me, you can try this as well. When you need to send out emails or respond to your supervisor, you can automate a simple portion that an acknowledgement email goes out whenever you receive an email, and maybe that'll create a beautiful scenario where your boss is thinking that you're working 24/7, right? Keeping that flavor in mind, what I wanted to talk about in the next few slides is how we envisaged Ivozo as a product. And at this time, when we were looking at a scenario where it was a COVID impacted world, we wanted to make automation available for everyone. So doing that was very, very critical, so that everybody around can actually start using automation in their daily lives. And I don't only mean enterprises. As individuals also, we do a lot of things on a daily basis which are very, very mundane activities, and that's what we decided to make automation very easily available for everyone that we know. And to do that, what we did is we created a community version, and you can sign on to a community version in 2 simple steps, which is basically go to our website, start the community version trial, and you can sign in. And the community version comes free for a lifetime. So we want you to go ahead and try and log in and start using the product. The beautiful part that I'm sure some of you might turn around and ask me the question that, oh, I can start using the product, but how do I know what to do with it? So what we did is we also created a forum where you can interact with other developers, and we created an academy where you can go and learn how to develop your own bots, even if you're using it for home. Now, the community is available for individuals, not for enterprises. Enterprises would have to go for an enterprise trial version, but individuals can go ahead and start using the community and start trying to build your own bots and developing it. And we wanted to make it available to organization students. So any one of the attendees were connected with students or colleges or organizations where you're doing mass connect with people. My advice is please go ahead and talk about us so that you can spread the word and go ahead and more people can start using the Ivozo as automation tool as such. So with this, what I'd like to do is end the session here. I think I've run out of time, and we want to kind of quickly go ahead and see if there are any questions for me, and Sahil, if you can help coordinate that piece. Thank you everyone for listening in, and thank you for the time you've given.
Yeah, thank you, Siddharth, for sharing insights on Ivozo. So we have a few questions lined up. Let me just read out them for you. So the question is that the change due to COVID has brought a transformation in ways companies function, as you mentioned. But after this pandemic is over, do you think companies might go back to old ways, or is the change with digitization through RPA permanent?
I think that's a very good question, Sahil. I mean, the human nature normally is to go back to your comfort zone. But at this point of time, I think there's a more deeper impact that the pandemic has caused. It's something which is going to last a certain amount of time. So what my positive assumption of this whole scenario is that I hope us as people learn from what we have faced in this time and try and continue to do the right things, which is simply use automation, do more work from home, and more or less, I think one other important factor is what COVID taught me is to stay connected at a personal level with our family and more people. So these are some positive messages from the pandemic, and I would suggest that I would hope, so not only suggest but hope that we continue to do these positive messages, things that we are doing in this period. And obviously one of those things is automating mundane activities and stop using paper as much as possible and go more towards digital.
Yeah, thank you for your answer. Now let's quickly move on to the next speaker, If there are any queries, we'll certainly direct them to you, Siddharth. So we have next speaker with us is going to talk on an interesting topic, which is digital exhibition platform. We have Mr. Vineet Chaudhary from Orange Mantra.
Hi Sahil, you will have to make me a presenter.
Yeah, just give me a second. Yes, you're on.
Thank you so much. Hi guys, good afternoon. I hope you can see my screen. So, it all started when this COVID piece started. We observed that there are 4 or 5 things which are happening. Being a service company, we could do a bit, but we wanted to contribute more. So we just observed that people are losing jobs, people, the social distancing has become a new norm, and proximity is another challenge. So we looked at different businesses, and as part of Orange Mantra's portfolio, we serve around 350 clients in e-commerce space, where we are running their e-commerce stores, and we are looking at that there is a drift, there is a shift, towards e-commerce. So we thought of a product which can work during these times, and this product we called it as a live commerce. So just to tell you a bit about Orange Mantra, we are a Gurgaon-based company. We are around 200 plus people. We work across different verticals. So we largely do enterprise applications. We do a lot of e-commerce. We build a lot of captive communities, do product development, automation, and mobility. So largely, if you look at COVID, the impact of COVID on business would be, as I mentioned earlier, is social distancing, increased reach. So largely businesses will look at cost effectiveness, better ROI, personalization. So we looked at this vertical of events and exhibitions, where for next 2 years, where ROI is already squeezed, there will be hardly any business. And then we looked at, say, migrants. So intent was to create jobs. So just imagine a fashion house engaging artisans, engaging handicraft people, or maybe somebody working on Madhubani from Bihar. What do they do? I mean, how do they sell? Marketing and sales is largely a big challenge for all of us. We can do a lot of hard work, but when it comes to positioning ourselves or creating a market for ourselves, so we are really short of ideas. So we thought of this idea where, thanks to Geo and thanks to better connectivity, everyone has a phone, everyone has a internet connection, and people can simply sell. So this is a web-based system which we thought of, which will work largely on mobile phone. So just forget, I mean, for next 1 year or maybe 2 years, forget that this kind of a fair or exhibition would happen. And even if it happens, the footfall would be hardly anything, so the ROI would get impacted. So what did we do? We just looked at the system, How about a system where the data drives a better sales conversion, where the sales funnel is like 10x, where you can outreach, you can go beyond boundaries of physical boundaries, maybe country boundaries, and there is a faster sales closing. Since we carry almost 20 years of experience of selling online, we thought it is easy, now people are ready, and with every such challenge which we have seen during .com bust as well, IT has moved up, digital has inched up. So with this virtual platform, the P2P relationship would be better, and as you know that the events and exhibitions are largely physical intensive, there's a lot of physical cost, so the cost we can see, we can straight away cut by 90%, and we get qualified lead. We know who is visiting your stall, your virtual stall. So primarily you can reach out to people globally, with a digital event or an exhibition. And the tool is a simple internet connection, simple phone. So what do you do as an exhibitor, so you save 90% on your resources. Now a virtual event will bring you attendees because you will reach out to your audiences, plus there is a marketing engine, there is a collaborative marketing engine which is pushing and getting you people, and people have comfort of their home and they have a lot of time, they want to explore. I mean, we have seen yoga instructor, Indian yoga instructor or a dance instructor teaching people in US, in UK. Earlier, that window, I mean, though it was feasible, it was easy, but the readiness was not there. Now that readiness is there. The market is ready. So largely with a lesser cost, you attract more people. So this virtual trade show give exhibitor a very large exposure. So you have different kind of media outreach which you can do, and the entire funnel can see you as a live person. It is not a dead sale happening. Now this system can work independently, or it can be a fair, or it can be integrated with your existing system. So just imagine a fashion house, say House of Anita Dongre, where Anita works closely, since we have been working with them for last 3 years and more. We know that they work with local artisans. They work with people who do work themselves. Just imagine a local person who has designed, or maybe a fashion guy who has designed, is live and is telling you the with what design sense this, or with what quality this dress has been built up. So what makes it best for other businesses also? So one is a job creation platform. Other is it can be easily integrated with your existing system. There is a simple registration form. You can welcome the visitor with your own tone. You can have a voiceover also, where you can guide people virtually that now this event is going live and this event is giving these offers. So you can easily build up that ecosystem around it. You have banners and posters. You can easily integrate your existing e-commerce store or a service offering application and do the onboarding. So primarily these are simple features like chat. There are videos. You can show your product catalog. You can have your documents, your brochures, your flyers, your videos, your main customers. You can also do special showcasing of your product. It is like a jeweler taking out those specific gems which they show only to exclusive customers and showcasing it. So that key takeaway is, if the underline is, there is a live streaming, there's a live broadcast. You are actually streaming yourself. So attendee is talking to the exhibitor straight away. So there can be a simple one-to-one calls. There can be one-to-many calls also. You can easily upload rich quality media content, be it videos, tutorials, presentations, or your contact information. The visitor can download the resources easily, and the exhibitor gets to know that these many people came in. This was the profile of the visitor. So a proper data analytic engine can further do the funneling, can do the nurturing part as well. You can prompt people for immediate discounts. So some of the showcasing is like, it's a simple piece where you go to livecommerceindia.com, you register yourself, and you look at the stalls and exhibitions. Some exhibitors would be live, so you can talk to a live exhibitor. Otherwise, if the person is not live, you can access their catalog, access their videos, leave an inquiry. And it is as simple. It is purely live streaming, web through web. Actually, it is a mobile based solution where everything, the exhibitor talks to the visitor on a mobile interface, and exhibitor has a choice. Exhibitor can easily go live, can see who all are there, can see what documents are being downloaded, and can see active visitors as well. If there is a message, he can respond to the messages. So that's it. If you have any questions, please feel free to ask me.
Yeah, thank you, Vineet, for sharing the insights on digital live exhibition platform. Now, there aren't any queries as such. So let's move on to the next speaker of the day, which is Mr. Jaideep Kumar from Knowlarity. He'll be covering on the CRM, Tentacle CRM, which is by Knowlarity, which covers live insights and great analytics. Over to you, Mr. Jaideep. I've made you the presenter.
Thanks, Sahil and Nasscom for organizing this event. Just reconfirming, are you able to see my screen, Sahil?
We can hear you and see you loud and clear.
Fantastic. So, folks, while of course we are kind of stuck in our respective homes and trying to figure how to kind of get back to normal, obviously we are all in the same boat trying to figure things out, and it's always great to kind of figure things out together. And before I kind of get into who we are, what we are talking about, I'll just give you a bit of a background on who Knowlarity is. So I essentially head the sales function for Knowlarity based out of Gurgaon. We have a team pan India as well as in the Middle East. We are a kind of an old young company, revolving ourselves and pretty much the pioneers as far as cloud telephony is concerned in this part of the world. Being present in over 65 plus countries, we've also invested in a substantial infrastructure, which obviously allows us to kind of scale at will and to be able to kind of service more than almost 15,000 customers as we may have it. So that's what Knowlarity is all about. But like the previous speakers, some of the clear learnings that we also had was the COVID situation really put us at a crossroad wherein we had both sales and field or contact center agents suddenly being asked to work from home. There were customers who obviously had tons of query. There is the intention of making them do it yourself, but at the same time, the fact that we are right now in the midst of kind of moving to that digital journey, whereas as compared to countries like Japan or China for that matter, who are far more evolved in this particular space, we are in this particular direction trying to kind of move as effectively as we can. So net it was the customer experience which was at question, the agent experience or the field or the contact center person who would be involved. And the other important factor that we had to obviously consider was the fact that we were sharing very sensitive data on a remote structure. There were VPNs involved, there were not VPN involved. And that's where we kind of took on and from what Knowlarity, with our expertise around the cloud telephony environment and the fact that all our solutions are cloud first and mobile first, we kind of looked into our current portfolio to figure out which were the right set of products which could actually make this happen. So with that, sorry, am I on presentation mode, Sahil, or not? Sahil?
Yeah.
Jaideep,
I think
you are.
Sorry, am I on presentation mode?
No, we can see you are not on your presentation mode. You can click on that and probably then you can.
Yeah, because I see myself. Sorry, apologies, folks. Now is it on presentation mode?
It's still not on presentation mode. You can continue.
Okay, cool. So I'll just probably hide these slides and increase these. Okay, sorry for that, folks. So essentially, we as a team basically looked into our existing set of product set and basically figured out which was the right set of product which would obviously ensure that we were able to maintain the customer experience, monitor the progress and the performance of the team members. At the same time, ensure that we had enough and more tools and checks and balances, which would ensure that data privacy of the customer was obviously at prominence and was protected at any point in time for any potential, let's say, misgivings. So with that, we basically focused on what we have is as a solution called Tentacle. So this is basically a call center in your mobile, as some of us like to say it, though I would sometimes feel that it's a bit of an exaggeration. That said, we essentially the intent of this particular solution is that to be able to kind of use your mobile phone as that single device to be able to connect with all your consumers while ensuring that we had enough remote monitoring happening in place. So put to kind of simply to put it in a very simplistic manner, there would be obviously calling lists which are there. There are whether it is through your existing CRM that you can connect your system, or it could be I mean our good old Excel or the new age Google Sheets which is there, which basically you upload in the system. The telecaller logs in into the Tentacle mobile app, goes through their entire list or task for that particular day, and kind of executes the call. The calls do get recorded. You get real-time analytics. The dispositions are captured on the mobile phone itself. You can also set up automatic reminders. And finally, from a while this may be true in the world of pre-COVID area, but let's say, for example, if I am a call center agent and I have to collaborate with a field agent who now, for example, has to take on the next step, I could actually do that. So there could obviously be the remote distribution of work as well. And finally, from a managerial or an admin standpoint, I have real-time reports available. I know what my folks are up to. So from a dashboarding perspective, it becomes crystal clear and simple for those particular users to actually reference all these factors. So that's where we've been able to pretty much champion. As just to reiterate, we are talking about the benefits of the productivity being ensured. We realize that there are safeguards already kind of put in the system. Also further, you have real-time analytics which ensure that we are kind of all data insights and controls are in place. And finally, of course, minimum maintenance, because this is your mobile phone and Android phone which is being at use, and that's what this entire system is all about. So that's basically what Nolarity. Of course, we have a very large bouquet of solutions, but this is what we really wanted to focus on. And for our attendees for this particular program, we just wanted to kind of, one is of course extend the gratitude for all of you to join us. I see more than 100 plus members right now on this particular webinar. So we just have these special programs or offers available to you, which include a solution which is entirely SIM based. So you can just simply download the app and you can kind of get up and running in a matter of minutes, to a very, let's say, evolved system which can integrate with our click to call solution, which is essentially backed by our dialers and so on with unlimited dialing. So all those can be made available to you. We also see an opportunity which potentially maybe from the set of attendees here on this call who are maybe dealing with a number of their customers. So you are welcome to kind of come and reach out to us and partner with us. So we have all these particular options available. More so, I think it's stay safe. It's important for us to kind of be innovative. I don't know whether this is the new normal, as a lot of folks are saying. For all you know, since I'm based out of Gurgaon, the moment the lockdown opened sometime early June, a lot of people just thronged and went to as many marketplaces which were available. So clearly, we are social animals. We will want to kind of get back to the earlier normal, and that's probably should be the way. But no comments right now. I'm not an expert on how COVID has to be handled. But that said, as far as our work, our ability to kind of reaching out to our customers, ensuring our team members are able to kind of work seamlessly without having too much hassles, I think we are here at Nolarity to help you out with that. And with that, I'd just like to close my presentation. Sahil, any questions for me?
Yeah, thank you, Jaideep. I think we have one question lined up for you, which is, do you have a solution wherein you could see the desktop analytics where all users are spending time, which application, internet and all, and get each transaction time tracked to measure agents' productivity?
So our existing application does for our own application, it does. It doesn't. I mean, if so, I'm just splitting the question into two parts. If the question pertains to our applications being able to kind of do those analytics so for example, in Tentacle, if you're looking to actually make those analytics or those information being required or made available to you through a desktop, yes, we do have that. But if your question is that in case we can do it for other applications, that we don't. So I just hope I've answered you. But in case you still have questions, feel free to reach out to us.
Yeah, thank you, Jaideep. I think that answers the query. Yeah, so let's move on to the next speaker of the day, which is Mr. Amit Khattar from Eastern Software. He'll be talking on COVID Shield app at workplace. So over to you, Mr. Amit.
Thank you, Sahil, and Nasscom for hosting us. Uh, is my screen visible now?
Yes, it's visible.
Sahil, can you see my screen?
Yeah, we can see your screen.
Okay, great. So I represent Eastern Software Systems, and I have been a technical person at heart. I've been heading the product development group at ESS for quite some time. And I also have a passion for exploring new places, new geographies, new relationships. And as a part of that, then I moved on to other functions where I headed the business development as well. And it is that passion which helped ESS in moving into the overseas markets. And ESS became one of the first few product companies to be able to make a mark in the overseas market some 20 years back. So a little about ESS. So we're in about 25 plus countries. We are a SEM CMM level 5 company with ISO 9000. And we've been in operation for almost 30 years now. And we have our prime product is the EBISPREM ERP, which is among the top 3 ERP solutions in the entire African continent. And we have several other add-on offerings. For example, the business intelligence solution. So we have another product called EBISPREM BI, which sits on top of the ERP, and it takes you from a journey to take you from a journey from adopting BI to going towards ML and AI, which can help in harnessing the data of your entire organization, which is captured by the ERP. Then we also do a lot of mobility solutions. We also do robotic process automation. So several processes of large enterprises, they have been automated using the RPA tool. And we also integrate IoT devices with our ERP solution. So overall, there are very large organizations in the overseas markets, SME organizations in the Indian market, and mid to large organizations in the overseas markets. And overall, ESS powers more than $40 billion of sales every year through our solutions. But today, I'm not here to talk about our prime solutions, which is what you see here on the screen. I'm here to talk about a new product that we made, which is basically very, very relevant for the COVID times, as you know, it has disrupted the entire way business is getting conducted, and it has thrown a whole lot of challenges for different businesses, right from ensuring business continuity to see as to how do we make the workplace a safe environment for the employees to work, and how do we ensure that there is no infection coming into the office premises. How do we monitor the health of the staff so that they feel safe and they are willing to come to work. in terms of the normal way that we have been, doing sanitization within the company, that is not going to be the same with the COVID time. So how do we ensure as business owners that there is a complete sanitization discipline in place? And any kind of, crisis situation which happens in an office when there is an infection, how do you manage that? And how do we basically comply with different government norms? So these are, some of the new challenges which have been thrown up on businesses. And so we came up with this product, which is the COVID Shield mobile app. And this basically caters to handling all these challenges which have been thrown at these businesses, at all the businesses. So typically the COVID Shield mobile app, it has these different functions, different areas. So there is a visitor management system, which basically captures all the in-out details of the visitors, and you can actually do a complete recording of the temperature, self-declaration of the visitors, and also you can have a visitor pass, which can be given out to the to all the visitors instead of the normal plastic tags. Then it can help in monitoring the employee health, where you can do the temperature recording and routine checkups, and all that is recorded in the using the mobile app. Then there are sanitization routines which can be, set up and which can be monitored using the app. Then there is the inspection routines, which can help the inspection team to monitor all the sanitization activity within the company. And then it can also help all the users, all the staff within the organization to log any kind of complaints or any kind of sanitization activity which needs to be carried out in their respective departments. And then of course there is an administration panel which basically helps in controlling all the functions of the app. So if we look at the visitor management, all the details of the visitors, they can get logged on the device, and at any point of time the organization can see how many visitors have come in the last few days, and how many visitors are currently in office. And it also captures, once all the details are captured, next time a visitor comes in, the guard just needs to enter the phone number and all the details will pop up. And this helps in doing away with the manual paper registers which are there, which are very, very difficult to manage. And if at all there is any kind of contact tracing which may be required, it becomes virtually impossible to do it using a paper register. And it also enables a zero contact entry and exit, because what it gives out is a visitor pass, which can do away with the plastic token visitor tags which are normally given. And the same card which is coming out of the mobile app can be scanned at the gate at the time of entry, so which ensures a zero contact entry and exit. And this way the organization would be able to control the infection coming within the office premises. The second section is about employee health, where again the temperature and the symptoms recording is done at the time of entry and exit, and even during the day. So you can have, as a business owner, you can ensure multiple checkpoints of temperature and other symptoms during the day while the staff are in office, and which will ensure that there is enough mental peace for the staff and they feel safe to work over there. And it will also ensure that there are no infections which are there in the organization, and if at all there is, it can be easily managed while the staff are at work. The third area is sanitization and inspection, where the organizations can actually set up a complete routine, a checklist-based routine of sanitization of different areas within the organization. So, for example, you have the conference rooms. So all what is could have a different checklist of things to be sanitized as opposed to a common area or a floor or a car or a vehicle. So it can have different checklists. So that gives a easy checkpoint for all the sanitization staff to complete the sanitization activity. Secondly, it also helps the sanitization staff in getting in automating a workflow where a user can log complaints of or request for any kind of sanitization activity. So they automatically come to the sanitization or the housekeeping department, and they are able to work on those complaints, and then those can be closed by the respective user or the administrator. And then there are different kinds of essential items which have now become very, very essential, which were earlier consumables within the organization, like your sanitizers, tissues, hand wraps, hand gloves, and so on. So those have become essential items today, and so those can also be tracked using this. So this basically enables a complete audit of the entire sanitization process, and it also helps in maintaining the adequate level of inventory for all your essential items, so that you never face a problem within the organization. Then there are the user and the admin panel, which can help in setting up all those checklists, and it can manage, the administrator can also manage any kind of emergency by sending out messages to the entire user group, and see as to if there is an emergency. For example, if there is some fumigation to be done in a particular department, the user can be, all the users in that department can be forewarned using the messaging application here. And also, if there is a possible infection, then also it can be helpful in managing that emergency and isolating that particular area. Now, this is about how this app can actually help an organization. Now, I'd like to share with you as to how this new normal has affected ESS, and how ESS adapted to the new normal. So the main problems that we were facing, because we are more in the enterprise space with all the ERP solutions that we have been selling, we were facing a lot of problems in terms of reducing customer investment, where the IT was the last thing on the mind of our customers, which are primarily mid-size organizations. And so their main focus had been on how to manage their raw material, their inventory, their manufacturing process, and so on. So IT was the last thing on their mind. So for most of our customers, the investment on IT was getting limited, and which resulted in lesser ticket size of the deals that we were getting, and hence a reduced margin on what we were doing. And with this little loss in business, it was also reducing the staff morale. So when we saw this particular situation, we actually moved away from the normal which we had in terms of redefining our usual product portfolio. So from a high-end ERP solution, which is a very, very niche industry-specific solution, we moved our entire focus into this kind of a low-value mass product kind of a solution. And we also made it, we also priced it very, very aggressively, so that it is a no-brainer for our customers, and they can immediately take a decision in favor of this particular solution. We also saw that as a part of our ERP implementation, which was mostly a customized solution delivery, we also saw that if we continue in the same manner, in the same delivery model, then we would not be able to make any margin at all with the aggressive pricing that we are offering to our customers. So we actually shifted from a customized product delivery methodology to a complete shrink wrap product delivery methodology, where the product can just get installed with very minimal interface required from our delivery teams, so that we can handle that kind of a volume product installation. And similarly, with regards to the sales, from on-site and a more closely engaged sales model, which was based on physical proximity and on-site visits, we shifted to a webinar and networking based sales model, which is, I guess, is a new normal for almost all of us here. And the other aspect that we saw in terms of the reduced staff morale, because there was loss of business and there was a doom and gloom everywhere within the staff. So when we created this thing, it created a lot of hyperactivity among the sales and the delivery team, and the doom and gloom within the organization quickly converted into enthusiasm. and people got motivated and they wanted to try new things and see as to how we can, get more business going as an organization. So this is while the new normal is settling in, this is one way in which ESS tried to adapt to the new normal, and that adaptation is going on as we see things turning out in time to come. So this is about the solution that we have. And this is of course a deviation, as I mentioned, from the key solutions that we have on board, which is the ERP, business intelligence, RPA, and mobile apps. And so if there are any questions, I'll be happy to take them.
Yeah, thank you, sir, for sharing the insight on COVID mobile apps. So we have one questions from one of the attendees, which is, how will the employee health check happen? And also, how will the app track whether sanitization has been done or not?
Okay. So the employee health check, there'll be COVID warriors, which will be designated, a COVID response team, which will be designated within the organization. And so through the infrared thermometers and the other symptoms which are there, so those can get recorded using the mobile app. And here the idea was to automate that entire workflow and make sure that no employee is left out, which is normally a problem area when you have a manual process in place to check the employee health. And this since we looked at this as a kind of a retail product, we wanted to make it very, very simple so that it has a larger appeal. And of course it can, for more sophisticated organizations, it can also, and who want to spend more on this kind of a solution, it can get interface with infrared thermometers and other scanners as well. The other question that you mentioned about the sanitization aspect, so there again, it enforces a discipline which is normally missing in a paper or a register based sanitization process. And it enables the entire workflow. As I said, that there is a checklist based sanitization which is done, so which makes sure that the housekeeping department makes sure that they follow that checklist, and that checklist is also available for audit by the inspection team. So which basically ensures that there is a maker checker kind of routine which is installed within the organization, and it ensures that the sanitization is happening as per the standards which have been set up by the business.
Yeah, thank you for answering that question. And now let's quickly move on to the next speaker of the day, Mr. Arijit from Czentrix. He'll be talking on smart remote working solutions. Arijit, over to you.
Thank you, Sayil, and welcome to all of you. And it's a good opportunity to hear all the panelists talking about various products, and it is so encouraging to see that our country is producing so many products, and that's the big transformation that as a country we are witnessing. Awesome product, amazing stuff's being presented. Today I will present to you about managing remote working and how we look at this situation, which is presently at the COVID stage and post-COVID stage, how things will emerge. So we are your partner in your customer experience journey. So we provide various customer engagement solutions so that you can provide uninterrupted customer service to your customers or your end users. We are spread across different geography, right from the Far East to all the way to the Western countries like North America or Latin American market as well. I am Arijit and I will do the presentation today. And meanwhile, if you have questions coming up, please use the questions widget on the platform. and I can answer your questions as I finish the presentation. So how do we manage this remote working? And before we go that way, as the topic of our this webinar is all about a new normal which is setting in, and we are almost in that journey right now. With the impact of COVID-19, there's an unprecedented impact which has happened both on the health as well as economy. While social distancing has been the only measure that can be taken to avoid this global crisis, what we are seeing is remote working is emerging as the immediate default. And going forward, what we are seeing is that a significant part of workforce may choose to work remotely wherever it is possible. However, let's now take a step back and talk about remote working. So if I look back, remote working was usually taken by mostly the senior people in the organization who would take a day off from the office and work from home. It was not meant for the, I would say, the shop floor team members to work from remote. And what were the reasons? Okay, so there has been real reasons why companies were avoiding this remote working, as a norm. And there were some supervision issues. There has been communication loopholes, security issues. How do I manage the entire operational services? And definitely the technological hiccups, like network is down or your internet connectivity is patchy. So how do I manage all these things? So this being the challenges, how we are seeing that organizations can cope up with this, and there are various solutions about managing remote teams. So today I will tell you 3 solutions, 3 stories around it, what as season tricks we can provide so that this ability of doing remote working becomes a no hassle. And let's go one product at a time. So we talk about the remote agent. So remote agent is, or at-home agents is primarily from a contact center business where the agent no more sits on a premise, but now sits at home and operates the same thing from the convenience of the home. Okay, and at home there are different challenges. Okay, so number one is that there are people who are in cities and small towns and they have internet connectivity issues. Okay, then there are people who may not have a laptop or a desktop at home, right? And then there are people who are very comfortable using their smartphones. So when we look at this problem, we thought about offering different solutions. Instead of giving only one solution, we thought about giving different solutions. And for your understanding, there's a TDM based system and the VoIP or a SIP based systems, okay, and how they are relevant as we go ahead with the solutions. So when we talk about the remote agent, so the first category of agent who can work conveniently from their laptop or desktop, both with a TDM network, that is the erstwhile phone lines, as well as VoIP network. So this kind of agents can use the complete contact center on the cloud. So we offer a CCaaS platform and can use the internet connectivity. It is very same as the similar experience as they would have on premise interface. They can, this is completely the powerhouse behind it is the contact center platform of Season-Trix, which is powering the entire thing. And it has all the abilities to integrate with third-party CRMs as well as Season-Trix own CRM, and can give you full contact center experience, right? The second one is the CC mobile app, which is called Contact Center Mobile App. And I have shared a couple of links on the chat panel. So if you have time, you can go through the video links as well, which shows demonstrates the capability of these apps. So the second product is the CC mobile app, and this can work completely on your mobile app, mobile phone, and it can do exactly the same thing what we were doing in the first case, but now only with your mobile app you can experience the same thing. Okay, so you don't have a desktop but you have a mobile phone but a good data plan, then you can use the CC mobile app. And the third one is what we call a DEX-less solution, where you may not have a mobile app. You may have a normal landline phone at home and you do not have an agent interface. So in that case, you can manage with a third solution, which does not require an internet connectivity and still can manage the inbound and outbound calling. Interestingly, there's a caller ID, which is a requirement when the person is calling. If you are, so if you are using a normal phone, then it can flash a message as well. So that's the third solution, which is for the without a interface, agent interface. Now, this is a video which I will skip right now and look at the benefits of this remote agent solutions. So if you see the remote agent, the front end of it has changed, but the back end of it is the same, and which is giving him the entire contact center capability with progressive dialers, SSD, queue management, all the things. You have a smart UI which has its own CRM fields. So in the mobile app, the agent can fill up all the CRM informations and dispose the call or do the call transfer for the mobile app. Since this is all based on the cloud setup, so it can be virtually, so your office has completely become virtual. However, the dashboard side, the supervision side, has all the capabilities of the full contact center with call center reports, recordings, everything. Definitely, this is from at home to on-premise solution. This is low cost, and this gives a lot of flexibility in terms of onboarding the agents. And this is completely secure, even the agents are working from a remote location. So next, I quickly switch into the second product, which is the video chat or video call. Now, what is this? So this is when the person is not able to meet face-to-face with his client. The next best alternative is to have a face-to-face communication. And the video chat solution provides a very interesting functionality. And one interesting functionality over here is the end user does not need to have any app. So the agent can initiate a call over an SMS, and via the SMS link, the video chat can automatically get connected with the agent. This solution is also used for video KYC, where geotagging is possible, as well as this can be used for video verification calls, where the person can have a verifier capability. So the agent can make the verification, and then you have a QA who can verify the call and submit it. So the detail is again in the video, but let's look at the interesting features. One is, as I mentioned, is a one-click activation. So you do not need anything to install on the end user side. It supports the cross-platform, so irrespective of the device that the end user has, it can work. The agent can also have run this from her mobile device as well. Okay. Again, geographical limitations are not there. Everything is on the cloud. Time zones, so it can manage across various time zones. The dashboard again provides various kind of analytics about the video calling and the transcriptions, as well as this takes snapshots during the video call to understand if there is some kind of artifacts to be captured during the call. So all these things are available via the dashboard. We ensure that there's a privacy. So by default, the video does not switch on from the end user unless the end user enables it. And again, the necessary securities are in place so that the videos are all encrypted. So the video chat is interesting. Another side is that this couples with the text chat as well. So in times where the agent or the end user wants to do a texting as well as a video, both the options are built into it. This has also mobile SDK. So the customer who has a third-party app can integrate the video chat within the app. All right. Interestingly, you can also use the rear camera. So for example, we have customers where they want it for some kind of field agents who are going to do a repair job, and they can use a rear camera to show the field issues directly. So there are various applications to it. What we are saying is that still you can manage a lot of remote working using over a video call or a video chat solution. The third part is about the mobile app, and this is the CZ mobile app. Unlike the CC app, which was a full-blown contact center solution, this is a scaled-down version, and this is usually used for outbound calling by either the field agents or people who do intermediate callings and not typically a full-blown contact center inbound outbound calling. So this is just a perspective how this product works. So here again, the admin can upload the lead list, assign it to the right agents. As soon as the assignment happens, it syncs up on the mobile app with a notification the agent gets. The leads are displayed to the agent. The agent can make out the calls using preview calling. Interestingly, we have both the SIM and the server-based solution. The SIM does not work well because you cannot do a call recording. Call recording is almost prohibited in most of the mobile phones. Whereas if you take the server-based approach, then the call are recorded on the server so that the supervisor can view the churn of the leads and what has been the disposition and what has been the call recording. So this is typically used for those kind of business. And this was being used before COVID, but with COVID and post-COVID, this can be used mostly for remote agents where they do not have to come to office and work on this kind of business. For agents, as you see that it's a very simple UI, so no training is required. You have simple screens and you can manage it. You can manage all the interaction history with customers. You can set the disposition. You can set up your call reminders. Supervisor can see the entire call recording, a complete dashboard with analytics to understand the agent's performance and what is the daily call statistics. These are the various benefits. Definitely, some of the benefits are apparent when we were discussing about it. But the most important thing is that they don't have to have the heavy, back-end contact center platform for running this kind of small, work from home or remote office businesses. So to summarize this, we see that there are, with the pandemic, things are changing and some things are going to change more or less in a permanent manner. People and businesses will find a strong reason to move some of the operation remotely or at home kind of setup wherever it is possible. And for that, there are different solutions which we are presenting. The remote agent, which can run a contact center. By the way, the contact center can still run on-premise and agents can still be at home in the first solution that we were discussing. Second is the video chat, which I mentioned, provides a very good and very high touch point, and where the requirement is to have a very deeper interaction with the customer. And the mobile app, which is a simple solution for outbound calling. So with this, I think I'm good with my time as well. So if you find any points to be discussed, you can shoot out a mail on this email ID. You can reach to us over our website as well. And I would see if I have any questions coming up.
Yeah, Arijit, thank you for the presentation. We have a couple of questions lined up for you. One is that how is your video different from MS Teams and GoToMeetings? Video chat is different from MS Teams and GoToMeetings.
Yeah, so what is important is that you can have MS Teams and GoToMeeting solution, but these are one-off solution. They do not get integrated with your, say, you have a hospital management system, for example, we talk with doctors and hospital system. So it does not plug into that system, number one. Second thing is that the end user, for example, now we are doing a GoToMeeting, okay, and we all have to install this at our system. However, when you are talking to a customer, for example, you are having a video consultation with a patient, it is very difficult to tell the patient you have to go and install this app. And especially people who are not we are from an office setup, we feel comfortable setting it up. Talk to a senior citizen that no, you have to install Skype or GoToMeeting, it becomes very, very difficult. And then across device, platform, mobile, it does not work. So this is a simple one-click solution, and you can get it started, right? So there are many more benefits, kind of recording that you can have, kind of bandwidth that you can have. As the bandwidth drops down, in most of it, you can get a jittery of another thing. But here, what happens? The audio continues and the video takes a backseat in that case. So there are a lot of advancements over this solution, which is primarily looked at from a customer sales and service, whereas this GoToMeeting and all MS Teams were more to do with a workforce, managing a team, having a remote meetings. From that perspective, these were built.
Okay. And the next one is, if there is no internet connectivity, is it possible to text and video using CZ app?
This is a very interesting question. So what you can do with CZ mobile app is that without the internet connectivity, because once the lead is synced, it is synced and the agent can still make calls if he has a patchy network. Okay, because the call is recorded on the server, which does not require any internet, because the call is coming out from the server. But for syncing the data, it requires another internet connectivity. But otherwise, this is designed from a requirement where you may not have always a good internet connectivity, and still the agent can make out calls whenever they need to make calls.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you. Yeah, I think that answers all the questions. So with this, we have come to an end of this session. I thank you all the panelists for giving detailed insights on different products. I hope members will find it beneficial. I request all the attendees to please share your feedback and interest for such upcoming product sessions on lenika@nasscom.in. I'll spell out the name LEENIKA@nasscom, NASSCOM.in. And for all upcoming sessions, please visit www.nasscom.in/events. Thank you once again for your time.